You are live. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to episode number 94 of the Ad Lib Podcast. Apologies for being a little late, but Streamlabs completely bugged out on me. But today, it's going to be a special episode. As everyone knows, last Thursday we had Video Nasties. And myself, Francesca, there was Joe, there was Theo, and there was Prof's Tom, right? Fran, his name was Prof's Tom. All judging and deciding who wins. And coincidentally, or not coincidentally, we also have the winner of Best Film of Video Nasties.
Yes,
Also happens to be a host on the same podcast.
Guys, let me know your Revolut stuff for the.
You know my Revolut.
I know your Revolut. I think I know Francesca, but Francesca asked before I pick a mix. So yeah, guys. Okay, so when you win Best Film, that's how you have to pay the judges, basically.
Everyone else is just too slow.
I warned Ashley you a long time ago. whom he had to rev. Okay. Hello, Luke. Prosedrin. So we'll be talking. Obviously, today we'll be talking about a lot of the Video Nasties shorts.
Another winner, by the way, Luke Vella-Clark, together with his wife Laura Vella-Clark. Laura Marie Vella-Clark. Yeah. They won Best Twist with their Bad Dreams. Very good. And we also have, by the way, we have Cristina Milioti, special guest with Cristina Milioti.
Yeah.
Yes. So guys, be nice to Mafia Mommy, please.
I'll be talking about that soon when we get into what we've been watching recently.
Oh.
By the way, shall we get into it, guys? Because today is going to be like a very long episode. Hey, Bruce.
The organizer of Video Nasties.
Video Nasties is here. And we've got part of the logo on the podcast as well here, down on the bottom left.
A quick applause, by the way. Well fucking done. A one-man band almost. Keep it up. I think you've created a great community overall. We'll never stop saying proset. And the actor guy, Bernard Satariano.
Mr. Bernard. Well, guys, shall we, before we start talking about what we've been watching, as we always do here. Hello, Ash.
Hello, Ashley.
I really wanted to talk a little bit about this special. By the way, 1 second. I have to make it a little smaller so it fits the screen. Yeah, there we go. This website that I really believe in, and I really hope we can push and push to as many people as possible here in Malta, because I was talking to Rich about this as well. When we're talking to people, everyone's like, "Oh, us Maltese, there's no talent. What's the point in investing in film and so on here in Malta?" And just going through, and I've watched all these shorts basically. I was part of the team. Going through all these shorts, I was just so impressed by the quality that there is. And if only more Maltese people could just go to this website and watch one or two shorts, like for example, Son of God by Bruce, The Maestro by John. Such fantastic films. The Next Chamber is so good. Such a great film. All of these. Xolt Atlet, I remember going through. It's a fantastic film. Really, really shocking film. Hello, Yella.
Hello, Yella. Hey, yo.
I don't know how many of these you've watched, guys, but for indie dog film, but it's just such a great. Obviously, there's a particular soul searching as well there. White Bait, again, great film. The Critic, fantastic. Nailed it. Oh, so funny.
Some of them we've watched through Video Nasties, and the master was given to us. So, Color Storm Entertainment. Hello there. There's Dan Malia, the guy who directed Rotten Blade. Hello.
Desperate Measures. That was so fun to watch as well.
That is for the April Fool's
one. Rich's April Fool. Amy, I remember watching as well. Oh, I mean, I've watched all of these, but it's just such a fantastic list of short films, all made by Maltese creators, film directors. And so I really hope that more people get to know about this website. and go there and watch and see the quality that we have here in Malta, because it's really, really impressive, the kind of quality we have here in
Oh my
Malta.
God, guys. We have Cassandra as well. Hello, Anelia Guteva. Hello.
Cassandra. Hello, Anelia. Hello,
Maria
everyone.
Isabel, okay, as well is watching. Guys, do chat with us. Brenton Guilford. Hello,
Brenton.
guys.
Brenton, by the way, I had to message you. I know I had to message you, but I've been like super busy. In fact, today I won't be able to stay for the whole podcast. I need to go study. But I will message you. No worries.
Nerd.
And definitely, and definitely, I think we'll definitely be talking about Brenton's film, which I'll just go ahead and say before we start. Actually, I thought that Mater Mortis was my personal favorite film. I know some of you disagree with me. I don't think we'll have the time to have the discussion because I need to leave. You guys obviously will continue. But Mater Mortis was my personal favorite film from the whole collection. There's some personal bias there as well, because I'm a big fan of the whole Lilith lore of it all. There's some things I would change as well, mind you.
Into gamer, Andrea.
That's why I asked that question to Brenton. That's why I asked that question to Brenton. Hello, Julian. Hello, Expect Actor.
Oh my God.
Lots of people in the chat.
Who's Expect Actor, please?
Curious. Anyways, guys, shall we get into what we've been up to? Franco, want to get going with that?
Vamos. So, and I can also give a quick review to what I've been watching.
Yes.
I was reading some comics. That's why I got confused. I forgot to log in at 8:15. So I'm reading some comics because I haven't read some great graphic novels. I was reading Standstill, but it's from the Image Comics. I don't know who the authors are yet, but I will get used to it. I will get used to their names. So, and then I watched Transformers 1, the new Transformers, the all CG Transformers with voice acting by what comics, Ashley? It's called Standstill. And I'm a huge fan of the Image Comics house. They have really if Marvel and DC are the mainstream, Image Comics are basically the more indie, I think even variant and whatnot. And DC have Dark Horse. It was called Standstill. It's about a killer who has a time traveling device. So you can imagine what he can do with that device.
By the way, Franco, we need to talk about Comic Con as well. I think I'll go on Saturday. I was talking to a friend as well. I think I'll go on Saturday. Definitely not in the evening, probably morning or afternoon. I can make it.
Okay, so we have to think early on Friday because Friday we're going to watch Anora as well,
yes,
right?
That's a longish film, no? It's 2 hours something. Ash, yeah, let's talk quickly about Transformers 1, man, Franco, because Ash said, please do not hate on it. I really love that movie so much. I cried during it, but I'm a big Transformers fan. Okay, I did not cry. I was going to cry in certain moments, but not for the same reason. I think that let's get into it.
Ashley, Andrea hated more than I did. I did Anora Flies By, said Bruce. Transformers 1, I enjoyed much more than Andrea did, but then I also had to, it was on a 4-star for me, but then I did half a star, so it's 3.5. The main reason is the movie starts off very like, the comedy was almost grating. The comedy was really getting on my nerves sometimes, but then after a certain while, I don't know, I think after the half, the bros into foes arc really hit when that went into gear, really hit, and like I felt not crying, but I felt emotional to seeing the way that they like Optimus Prime in this what was he called, Optimus Prime, Orion Pax, if I'm not mistaken,
something Pax, yeah.
Orion Pax and D16, and the way they diverge into how they will tackle the next era for Cybertron. It did hit an emotional, strike an emotional chord for me. But there is, I feel like there's this also, the animation is also hyperactive malla.
It's not too much.
And not to say that the movie doesn't look gorgeous. Like there are some moments that are really gorgeous, but there's so much going on. It's almost there was no distinction between background and foreground.
Yes,
mind you,
zero depth. which is a
Mind
problem.
you, but then obviously we all appreciate, or I all appreciate the work that goes into it and certain lore and Badassatron.
But the lore was one of the issues for me, Franco. Now I'm not like I'm not a big like Transformers fan. I've watched all the films, but that's it. Like that's where my like fandom ends. I even watched the last one as well, which to be fair I quite enjoyed. But there was too much lore. Like for someone like me who has just come in here and is just like not a Transformers fan at all. Too much lore. Like constant exposition after exposition after exposition and more speeches and more monologues and this happened in the past and then and I was completely lost at times. I was like what are they talking about? Like I couldn't care. That's the thing. I couldn't care to concentrate and try to like pay attention to the lore. So that was one of the big issues I had with it. Well, to be honest, I found it quite forgettable as a film. Not a bad film, just very forgettable.
Oh no, not a bad film. Like I said, the comedy is like sometimes didn't. And we're speaking of Keegan Michael Key here, which is the guy from Key and Peele. If the comedy doesn't hit, and it also felt superfluous.
It
Like
didn't hit for me though. It felt very great, like you said, grating, like forced. Very forced at times.
well, I love the lore, especially the Matrix. But by the way, something like what happened to you with Strange Darling happened to me, Andrea. I knew exactly what the twist was.
I mean, here the twist, but the twist in Strange Darling is much better than here.
No, of course.
The twist here is obvious in a way that we know that obviously Optimus and Megatron are going to become enemies. So that's not a twist.
No.
There's
another twist
to
that
another character, and it's so obvious. It's like you can see it coming from a mile away.
It's the other Stash guy, Joe Paolella, all the way from Scotland.
Mr. Paolella.
Scotland.
Apologies for being a little bit late. The day kind of got away from me. How is everyone?
Oh, we're right. We're good. We're talking about Transformers 1 right now, Joe.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Continue.
Okay.
We can move on. We can move on actually. I mean, so that we can.
Matrix 1 and 2 are good. I'm a big fan of Matrix 1 and 2. 3 wasn't great, I agree, but not terrible. I actually quite enjoyed Matrix 4, but we're not talking about Matrix, by the way. Colorstorm Entertainment.
No, it's called the Matrix of Power something.
The Matrix of Power in Transformers. You have to ask Ashley.
Transformers.
I switched off my brain and like almost had a nap during many of the exposition scenes.
Matrix of Leadership. Yeah.
That's it. I just had a quick nap during some of those scenes. I really couldn't care less about all the expository like, and this happened, and then that character did this, and then the monster did that, and he's evil, and now you must go and defeat him, but you must take this with you to defeat him. I really care about all of this. I will say, though, later on the film did get better. Once the conflict grew between Optimus and Megatron, there I was invested. I will admit that I was very invested in that. Too many MacGuffins, and like finding the map was like, really? That's when I was going to cry and just switch off the film. When the way they found the map, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not a serious film. I'm glad I didn't though. I'm glad I didn't switch it off because eventually it gets better. And yes, the action is very, like you said, hyperactive. But
there's a Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie in development. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay. those go together. I have no idea.
Same company, I think.
Just toys.
Okay. They're toys. Yeah. Overall, what rating did you give it, Franco? Transformers 1.
I like I said, I first gave it a 4.5, but then I put it down to 3.5. I wasn't as harsh as you are, Andrea.
I said I was kind. I said I was kind to give it a 3.
Yeah. That's still being harsh though.
I could have easily given it a 2.5. To be honest, it deserved a 2.5. But I decided to be a little kind. It's a kids' film after all. So
it is, yeah. If you take your kids for anyone who has kids,
they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Or if you still feel like a kid, yeah, you're going to enjoy it.
Franco, you also watched The Apprentice, right?
The Apprentice, yes, the Donald Trump movie. Very enjoyable. I like the way they use this style. So they started from, I think it was 16mm, and then they changed into like VHS high 8 resolution. It's a bit of. Actually, and so basically, long story short, it's basically the rise and continuous rise of Donald Trump under the mentorship of a well-known lawyer back in the day, Roy Cohn, who was almost the right-hand man of Nixon. And you see basically how Donald Trump basically became the Donald Trump we know some people love and some people hate today. Long story short, it's so there great performances throughout. Maria Bakalova, Sebastian Stan, and his. I was noticing his hands, how he really nailed the hand movements.
There was a
And
very
in
good
fact,
transition though to that, because he doesn't start that way. But
No,
slowly you
no.
see him build up to the Donald Trump we know today, right? And he starts to
Not
make the
as
movements. It's
not
amazing.
only. I think there was the moment. The moment was when with his brother during the what you call it with during the marriage scene. It's like okay, I see this change now.
Hmm.
Jeremy Strong. I mean, it's in the name. Strong performance
He was my
throughout.
favorite. Surprisingly, Jeremy Strong was my favorite. No, surprisingly, I mean it's Jeremy Strong.
No,
Not a surprise at all.
he's good. He's good, and like it was even their interaction together. They've got chemistry. The only thing I would say is Sebastian Stan's hands are too big for Donald Trump. But anyway, um, what I'm gonna say, but it does preach to the choir. People who already made their mind up about Donald Trump won't change. It's not gonna change the needle anyway. I mean, it takes more than a movie nowadays to change the political landscape. That's what I said. But
That's
it's a
my
very
issue,
strong.
Franco. That's my issue, and I don't know what you think, but it's a well-made film. I mean, it's a very well-made film. Like even the way it's shot, like someone is following in a documentary style, especially when you were talking about the VHS style, kind of. It's like someone's following Roy Cohn
It
and
is
Donald Trump.
it is made by Ali Abbasi,
Ali
which
Abbasi,
is
who's a very
well
talented
known,
director.
very talented
Um,
documentarian as well.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you
and you can
haven't
tell.
seen Maradona for me is one of the great documentaries for me.
I think I had watched it
Yeah,
in Malta. They had shown it in Malta, right?
yes,
At the
that's right.
Valletta Film Festival.
Yes.
That's where I watched it.
Capadia, though.
What?
Yes, you're right. No,
Maradona's
wait.
Asif Capadia.
Sorry, you're right. Sorry, I got confused. I always got confused. This
He
guy,
did
this
White
guy
Spider.
directed Holy Spider.
Oh, Holy Spider. Sorry, White Spider. No, no.
No, I got confused. Sorry, I got confused. So you're right. You're right. You're right, Joe.
He's Iranian, right?
Ali Abbas is Iranian,
Yeah.
and this is the guy who did the Holy Spider.
An interesting
Um,
decision to pick Ali Abbasi for this. My one issue with this film is that as well made as a film this is, you have very strong performances, very good script, you see the transition of Donald Trump, but does it achieve anything at the end of the day?
I know, right?
I mean, one can ask the question: does it have to achieve
What's,
anything?
what do you mean? What should it
We
achieve?
don't learn anything new. We don't learn anything we didn't know about Trump already. We see stuff that we've already know. Everyone knows that he was under the mentorship of Roy Cohn, and that his 2016 kind of election was based on the beliefs and the strategies of Roy Cohn. So at the end of the day, what?
I mean, I can't say I know that very well. I mean, I guess it depends how much you know Trump. If you've read up
Have you
a
read
lot
his
about
book?
Trump.
I've read his book, so
No, I haven't.
The Art
I
of
haven't.
Deal. I think it was called The Art of the Deal, something like that. I've read his book, so maybe that's why. I mean, if you don't know any of Trump's history, I'm sure you're going to find this informative because it's well made. I think it covers his period in the 70s and 80s, his real growth as a real estate businessman, and seeing him kind of like take over New York basically, because that's what he does. And the dynamic between Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong is fantastic. It's brilliant. It's really well shown. And the places where Jeremy Strong takes his character is incredible. Like the fact that I was empathizing with Roy Cohn, with such an evil character like Roy Cohn, is testament to how good Jeremy Strong is. I mean,
That in itself, I would say, is an achievement. No.
that is an achievement.
Oh,
Yes,
this.
100%. But
If you're sympathizing with someone like that, I mean, I would say maybe that is the achievement of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched the film yet, so I'm talking out of my ass. But I mean,
yeah, but that empathy is tainted with the idea of like, dude, now you're feeling sorry. You reap what you have sown ages ago. You know, it's like
yeah, well, this is like how you feel sorry for the characters from Succession, no?
yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of Succession, not Jeremy Strong notwithstanding, I think this would go down well with Succession.
Yes,
I imagine.
100%. Same concept, more or less. Even the way it's shot, many there are, like Succession has a lot of handheld moments as well, very intense moments, especially when you're doing the deal. Yeah, but overall, it's a well-made film. I think it's well worth a watch. Definitely well worth a watch, especially if you like politics and you like. And I mean, the election is 2 days time now, so
tomorrow,
1 day time. There we go. So yeah. Moving on, Franco. Anything else you watched this week?
No. This is a strong 4 on 5, and like I said, because there is a bit of preaching to the choir. Anything else I've watched, guys, do checking out some old BBC ITV things that they used to do back in the day, like Ghost Stories and Play for Today. So I was watching Pendas Fen. I stopped. I had to stop it because I didn't have time to watch it. But I binged a series called Children of the Stones, and the way this series was aimed at. Obviously, certain acting and dialogue is dated, so it's very like prim and proper English. Oh yes, I would like some tea with my crumpets. You know, and the way they explain certain stuff, it is very, very like 70s English prim and proper. But the concept was really good, and the way that it respects its audience, like it's not, despite it being aimed at teenage audiences, like they had this idea of. Explaining the magnetic forces, and even at the it takes risks also with the way certain characters end. And I'm not going to go into further detail, but you can watch everything on YouTube. All 7 episodes are there. A haunting soundtrack, by the way. The end, maybe I have to try to understand a bit more of what's going to happen, but yeah. Do check it out. There's also other Play for Today. I think it was called a warning for the curious. This basically was an anthology of stories, and some of the people involved included Anthony Hopkins, one of them, for example, and other directors, which later become, I think, even Mike Lee. Mike Lee started on Play for Today and then moved on to like filmmaking. So. You see basically the germs of the germination of talent of British filmmakers, basically. So it's well worth checking out.
Okay.
And that's it, basically.
Fran, what about you? What have you been up to this week?
This week I was pretty much trying to get as much horror into my October as possible. With the guidance of our friend Joe over here. And trying to watch some of the classics that it feels like everyone's watched and I haven't. So I watched the most recent one was the Blair Witch Project, which scared the shit out of me. And now I will never go camping again in my life, which is quite sad. But I think my favorite from the past month, and I'm just going to say the month because I don't get weekly updates with you guys, was probably The Thing. Which I called 12 Angry Men in the Snow. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you the entire list, but I can show you quickly on my Letterboxd because I'm very proud of the amount of films I watched in October.
Wait, let me follow you on Letterboxd. I don't think I follow you on Letterboxd, Sorokaza.
For shame! For shame!
Shame!
I'm still very upset about the 3.5 for Halloween.
Look, man, I mean, it's about taste. Like, I am not, like, you cannot compare a film like Halloween to The Thing. I mean, The Thing has an amazing script, and Halloween barely has a script. Oh wow, fancy! Is that Blu-ray?
Yes, I haven't even watched it on Blu-ray yet.
Yeah, it's
Have you
still
watched
packaged.
it at all?
Yes,
It's
I
still
watched it.
packaged.
It's still packaged.
What's your username, by the way?
Sorry.
Spider fan. Anyone who's listening, feel free to follow me for my
Spider-
very witty
Spider-
reviews.
Spider fan.
Spider fan. But spider with a Y.
On Letterboxd, friend.
Yeah.
You're on Letterboxd. What? How did I not know?
Why would I not be on Letterboxd, Andrea?
For shame. For shame.
Yes, I'm on Letterboxd. Anyway.
3.5 per possession.
Oh my god! No one follow me on Letterboxd, and this is what it's gonna be.
I've done the deep dive on her account and I've tried to correct it. There's no hope. It's okay.
4.5 for Civil War.
What?
Andrea, Franco, we are not going to get into Civil War again. We will have another screaming match.
Everyone will leave. Everyone's here for video Nasties.
Exactly. Everyone's here for video Nazis. Let's just.
That will be a very interesting 2v2.
True.
We know where I stand on Civil War. Oh, balloons.
Oh yeah, balloons.
I have no idea.
Right. Okay. Let's.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh
guys.
yes, and I rewatched The Substance a couple of days ago with my sister and her husband, which was like, I mean, I'd probably move it up from a 4 to like a 4.5 because that's an amazing film.
That's Civil War over-analyzing.
What's wrong with Civil War? Just 4.5. We're also gonna create a flame war over here on chat as well. Anyway, that's for another day.
Cassandra was there when me and Franco were about to kill each other.
Yeah, I remember.
I think she was very shocked at our behavior.
I was mostly quiet that day. I let you.
Andrea was hoping that he
2.5.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's me basically.
What about you, Joe?
Myself, in terms of watching stuff at home, I did watch Azrael, which is a new film, I think, on Shudder with Samara Weaving. Very, very interesting little horror film because, I mean, there are no words said in this entire film. It's all silent.
Yeah.
Apart from obviously like soundtrack and like noises happening and stuff like that, but it's set in a distant future where basically this cult is hunting down this woman, and it's not perfect. I don't think it's like all shtick fully works. I'm also a sucker for this kind of shit, so I really enjoyed it, and I'm also a very big fan of Samara Weaving. She's just now been announced to be in Ready or Not 2, and I really liked the first Ready or Not, so I'm looking forward to that. And then in terms of other things I watched, I caught Heretic at the cinema, and I put a review out for that myself on my channel if anyone checked that out. And I also watched Anora yesterday, which I guess we can get into.
Yeah, by the way, guys, do check out Joe's channel. He also has his own review channel. Very great. Just he bakes them out immediately after he watches the movies. Also, very nice analysis throughout.
It takes more work than I thought it ever would. But
It does.
I'm still enjoying myself, at least. Andrea, would you like me to go through any of the films now before we get into video nasties?
Yes, because we haven't touched Anora, so only you'll be reviewing Anora, Joe. Go ahead and review it because quickly we could give a quick 2-minute review.
I mean, Anora I'll keep really short. It's probably on my channel as well. It's probably the shortest time I've taken to review a film because there's not much else to say apart from it's fucking great. Everyone should watch this film. Like, all the hype around it, like it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. And it's yet another film from Sean Baker, who doesn't have a weak film to his name yet. In fact, all of the films he's made are really, really good, and they're all equally impressive. This is like all the work he's been doing coming to a head. So as you can, it's about a young sex worker named Anora living in Brooklyn. She meets this young Russian guy named Ivan one time, and he takes quite a shine to her. Turns out he's the son of a Russian oligarch, so he's obviously extremely rich and extremely powerful. They decide to get married, but then things go bad, basically, to not spoil anything. But I was surprised, first and foremost, with how funny this film is. Like, there's this 20-minute sequence when basically people in charge of looking after Ivan find out that he's gotten married to someone and gotten married to a sex worker as well. And they're trying to separate them, and it's this 20-minute like almost comedy set piece of just like wild things happening and loads of screaming, and just the whole theater was laughing the whole time. But then, as is typical with what Sean Baker tends to do, is he takes you on these like almost whimsical journeys with these sort of subcultures, I guess, for lack of a better word. But then he reminds you that life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not always funny. It hits pretty hard. Particularly the ending of this film is one of the hardest hitting endings I've seen in a while in terms of driving home what he really wants to say with it. And that's basically all I'll say. This is easily one of the best films of the year, if not best. For now, it's probably between The Substance and this for me. Both in terms of how much artistic merit they have and how fun they are, like the entertainment factor at the same time. So if you can go and watch this, go and watch it immediately. That would be my advice to you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
If you can.
If you can. Well, we can. We're going to go next week.
No, because
it's one can.
The Pandora at Cannes.
That's a Franco level pun, Jesus.
No, that's a face Pandora, basically.
Do we want me to go through Heretic at all as well?
Just give a quick one, Joe.
I can go very quickly through Heretic as well. People will have known this is the new horror film from A24 starring Hugh Grant, and people might be thinking Hugh Grant horror film, very strange combination, but trust me, it really works. Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East also star in this film. They are two young Mormon missionaries which happen to go to the wrong house, which is the house of this Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant. And his whole thing is he studies theology, like, deeply. And basically he wants to put the idea in the heads of these women that all religion is bullshit, because there's all these similarities between mythology and all these other religions, and there's these really good analogies where he compares things to like board games that we play. And it's actually a really nice little chamber piece because it is technically one location. The majority of the film happens in this house, but it is quite a large house. And the thing I was surprised about most is what the makers of this film have made before. So this is Scott Beck and Brian Woods, and both Andrea and Franco would have seen this film, I believe. I don't know about you, Fran, if you saw the previous film they made, but it was 65 with Adam Driver, and we know how I felt about that film.
The dinosaur one.
Yeah, but they also have writing credits on A Quiet Place, and they had a writing credit on The Boogeyman as well, which was by no means a very good horror film, but they worked on The Quiet Place as well. They obviously have a taste for horror. The script is extremely wordy. Like, a lot of it does involve Hugh Grant delivering these really long and intricate monologues, but I really liked it. I had a really, really good, fun time with this film. It's not like it's marketed as a horror film. Like, this isn't like a scary one. It's more just like tense, and it can make you a bit uncomfortable at times, but it's really fun. Like, that's the bottom line with this film. It's by no means great. I think some people are going to be frustrated by its ending. I actually kind of like that this film chooses to trust the viewer a little bit more to make up their own mind. It's always a good thing. There is that kind of like delivery of a message in what we have in like elevated horror nowadays, and it is fairly on the nose, so that kind of detracted.
We're going to be talking about elevated horror, Joe.
Yes, we're gonna get into that. Don't you worry. No, this is just a really fun, like, definitely I would suggest watch it with friends, because I think this will be a really good one to discuss with friends after. Maybe
Okay, Fran.
Francesca and Franco can have another civil war between themselves after watching this film. No, I liked it. I went to see 2 films in the cinema this week, and I had a fucking great time at one of them, and I had a very good time at the other, so I can't really ask for more than that.
Good stuff. Mela, guys, I think it's time to get into video nasties. I am going to leave you in... Franco, I think you're muted.
I was muted because a lot of cars are passing by my house.
Okay.
But before Andrea leaves us, by the way, Andrea is the guy who created the Ad Lib Podcast. We're 6 episodes away for our big 100. I think we should do something. Please leave a like and a follow, subscribe. We are just for peeps. We enjoy movies. This is our opinions. We're not here to pull you down or crush your dreams of filmmaking. We all like movies. We're here. We're a great community, as we've seen. So please do leave a like. Keep on chatting, like Brenton said. And Brenton is right. There's only one religion: filmmaking. Filmmaking
and quality filmmaking.
Exactly.
Which Brenton definitely knows how to make quality films, as we've seen.
All right. So, without further ado,
I'm going to take off because I need to go study. Leave you on the quality hands of Joe, Franco, and Fran. I'm just going to put up the video Nasties logo on my face instead. So that's a much prettier thing, to be honest. There we go.
I say that I really enjoy being like butt of the joke on the thumbnails that Franco makes, where it's always my face and the funny.
Wait, you enjoy or is that sarcastic? You enjoy?
No, I genuinely do. I don't know what I've done to deserve that honor, but it is quite funny. Every time you always go like, guys, I'm making a thumbnail today. Then you don't even send it to the group to be like, is this okay? We just post it online. I'm just like, cool, okay.
True. I should actually, you're right. I should post it before.
It's fine. My face is all over the internet at this point. So.
Yeah. Hello, Mela guys. What are you going to start with?
No, he's still here.
Now.
What are you going to start with?
Joey starts with the winners.
Start with the winners, yeah. And then maybe go into some of the others that you liked and see how much time you have. All right, guys, I'm going to go study. Enjoy.
Good luck. Right. So we're going to start with how much Franco bribed us.
Yes. And I will let you know on a secret. Like Francesca is really into pick and mix, so make sure that next time you give her like the Boars of San Martin. Remember Boars of San Martin? But all pick and mix without
like quality pick and mix, please. I want those white milk bottles that they only have at Eden Cinemas now, apparently. So I just have to go there to get them.
Extra. And by the way, Joe Paulello was also the other judge for the video Nasties. By the way, guys, I'm not at all envious of your gargantuan task of having to review 28, 26?
25?
I think it was
25.
I think it was 27 because I had them all listed on my phone.
Wait, I have a list.
Okay, Bella. Ashley, by the way, ask one quick request as I need to leave in 20 minutes. Can you just let me know a few thoughts on mine? So, judges, take it away.
Yes, in fact, Ashley messaged me privately to give him some feedback, and I still intend to give you some more comprehensive feedback over there. Actually, I haven't had a chance. I had a bit of a wild weekend, which I did not expect to have. But I'm just going to be very honest, and this isn't me shitting on anything. This is what I like and what I look for in a short film, what I was told to do with short films throughout university. So also take what I say with a pinch of salt as well. Idea and the conceit for your short film was very good. A guy stuck in a kind of loop. That's already a very good premise for a horror film. And I like that you went the sort of comedic route as well. Things that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, for lack of a better term, is I didn't like the over messaging. I don't like an obvious message in a film. So if you lost the voiceover entirely at the end, it's already a big plus. Me, I think the story should speak for itself and tell that message through storytelling more than anything else. And that's what I would say was the thing that hurt your film for the most part. But then I will commend you because it's no easy task making a film. Like we sit here, at least Franco, Andrea, and I, every week, and sometimes we shit on films with huge budgets and we act like we know what we're talking about all the time. And really, we're just three guys on the internet with a podcast, as it seems to be the case for most of the internet nowadays. So it's no easy task to make a film, whether that's a film with no budget or it's a film with a huge budget. And especially when it comes to putting your own idea to screen, where you've taken the time to write it. So we'll give you more comprehensive feedback, but we've got a lot to get through. But the main thing, as I said, which kind of turned me off on that one, was the premise was good, the message was there, and I felt like I got it without having to actually be told it. Like, one of the golden rules they say for screenwriting, what I was taught at university and for filmmaking in general, is show, don't tell.
Exactly.
That's the best advice I can give to anyone making a film. If you can show it, do that. So I don't know if you guys want to add in anything.
No, I was going to say, for any movies that we don't manage to cover in these solid 2 hours, please feel free to message us on.
I was going to say, my DMs are open. I will get back to you at my earliest convenience, but I will definitely get back to you as well.
Sorry, Fran, you were going to say.
Yeah, no, it was very much show, don't tell for me as well. And that really applies to, I would say, most of the short films that we saw. So trust the audience a little bit more. They want to use their mind, and if you feel like you need to get a friend to watch it, and say less than you think you need to say, and then maybe get a friend to watch it and see how much they've gotten. That is maybe a piece of advice I'd give, rather than over-explain. Because, as Joe was saying, I really liked the Groundhog Day setup, but I don't need to know everything that's going through the character's mind. And your facial expressions were good. They were enough. Because, you know, if you had a totally dead facial expression, I'd say, well, we need something here. But they were totally enough. You were very expressive in your face. So we didn't need the voiceover. And it would have built a lot more tension. Because honestly, when you woke up in that room, that was a good setup for tension. But then the moment that you started talking, you started to lose it a bit. Sorry, of course. So yeah, that's my main piece of feedback for that.
I'm going to try to keep this short. Excellent use of location, by the way. I think this is a general note on every short. I think great concept, execution needed a bit more work, but I understand. Listen, at the end of the day, you made your first short, and you can only learn from making the first short. Process. I look forward to seeing your second short now, Ashley, because I think you had a great idea. The Groundhog Day I liked as well. I liked how you changed the colors to show that it's a new loop every single time. I think maybe the exposition would have had of how you are stuck in the loop. Maybe like you get to know, for example, even if all you need is just a close up on the bracelet to know what's happening. Actually, it's sometimes those inserts help to tell the story better. Otherwise, what Joe and Fran said about the voiceover. Also take care of the in-jokes. Not many people know about Malta Pop, and it's also something that had to do with last minute as well, which in fact I'm going to change the intro because of that. We have to take care of the certain in-jokes. Otherwise, again, more feedback can be done when you can message us, basically. Moving swiftly on, and good night, Ashley. Please do also follow Malta Pop on YouTube, where if you are a comics geek and anime geek, Malta Pop is the place to be.
Cool. Actually, if I may, maybe we could use this as a segue. As you said, we're going to talk about the winners. This whole show don't tell thing. Maybe we can use it as a segue into Nightmare. Which won Best Film. And honestly, for me, this is what made the film a winner. The moment I saw it, like there was no dialogue, right? There was nothing. And sleep paralysis, it's funnily enough, it's like a concept that scares me a lot, and I think I might have even wondered how I would portray it on film. And since it's someone who's not moving at all and is trying to move and can't move, I mean, it's not an easy thing to portray because you cannot see the person actually doing any action, right? So it's very much about the panic in the eyes and the facial expressions. And for me, that is what that film did so well. And just in a few shots, we had, the close-up on the foot that isn't moving, the panicked eyes. Just a few shots, we know that this person is experiencing sleep paralysis and is terrified. Zero dialogue. And it was super effective for me. I felt like the moment the whole silhouette thing is terrifying for me. I don't know about anyone else, but this is like the number one thing that scares me at night. So again, that was super effective for me. It maybe started to lose its scariness a little bit, and maybe became a little bit comical, which is fine. When we actually see the face close up. But still, then we build the tension back up when we see the figure back in the stairwell, right? So we think that she's woken up from the nightmare, but the figure is still there. So you're kind of releasing some tension when you see Bruce's face, kind of comical. No offense, Bruce. But then. So you're letting your audience relax, and then, oh shit, you have that kind of twist, right? So for me, that's what made it super effective. Again, zero dialogue. We're letting the audience understand what they will. Joe?
Yeah, no, I mean, we did pick this as our eventual winner. So Franco, I commend you. I did really like it a lot. Someone like me, who is more ingrained in horror shit, did see similarities to something like Lights Out, which I really like. That's a fantastic horror short to be inspired by, because you took that concept, but then you made it your own paralysis. And someone who has suffered sleep paralysis multiple times, very relatable and very scary. But then I will give some feedback as well. So as Francesca said, you see Bruce's face fairly early on, and it's a little bit comical. One, I do see the comedic side in it, but I think that's because we know Bruce as well. we know that he's actually a very sweet guy and not your sleep paralysis demon, but it's still very intimidating as well. I thought you could have done, and it might not have worked as well, if you didn't show the face early on, if you saved a face reveal right for the end, similar to how Lights Out does. But it's still a very effective, extremely effectively made short horror film with no dialogue whatsoever. And when Francesca, Theodore, and I were discussing on the call that we had, both Theodore and I, we really liked Last Minute as well. And we wanted it to be mentioned as a sort of honorable mention, and Francesca agreed with us that is a really, really good short horror film. But then what it really came down to kind of explain our judging process is Last Minute is very good, but it's doing something very different. It's going much more for the horror comedy tone. I think we felt we wanted something which was out and out a horror film to take the prize for best film, because at the end of the day, this is Nasties. It's a horror film festival. The name is named after a number of films, I think 60s, which were banned in the from the 80s through to the 90s for how shocking they could be. Something like The Evil Dead was on that list. We were more comfortable with an actual out-and-out horror film winning that. But as I said, we did really like Last Minute, and to kind of comment on that, my problem with, not even problem, but like the thing which lost me a bit in Last Minute was steered too much into the meta at the end. Like if it had just ended on them being like, this was cool, we made a film, we're eating pastizzi, and it just ended, I would have been like, cool, okay, you made a pretty cool and unique little horror film with definitely shades of something like One Cut of the Dead in it for anyone that has seen. But the fact that then it came back again with like, no, there is an actual entity or ghost or whatever, and it's going to get them, I was not an eye roll, but I was kind of just like, didn't need that extra 30 seconds. In my opinion, Francesca.
I don't think I agree, to be honest. Again, because then that made it a little bit more of a horror film, right? But then my problem with the last bit was that reveal, so the actual demon or whatever, the reveal of the actual demon wasn't as scary as the reveal of the fake demon.
Exactly.
So for me, like the scariest moment needs to be at the end if you are going to do that double twist, right? And I didn't mind having a double twist because I like it being a horror film. My expectation would be, leave me scared. So it was more like, if you're gonna have that second demon, I mean, Marisabel did a fucking good job and was fucking scary. So you needed something scarier at the end.
Okay.
And it could have been, again, not showing, I feel like, scarier than that might have been difficult to achieve, but maybe then don't show us so much. Maybe let it be a noise and that's it, rather than showing us something new, which might have been difficult on a low budget. But maybe just they hear a noise and or they realize that, not I did the noise. What noise? And then maybe cut there.
No, I agree.
Okay.
If we can, I mean, Franco, I don't know if you want to comment on the process of that at all.
No, so basically for Hedilla, well done. It's just Cassandra. Cassandra was very meticulous in her research. I cannot commend her enough. In fact, she was very worried that she might not portray sleep paralysis to its whole effect, because
I can confirm she did a fantastic job on that one.
Definitely.
And I want to correct myself. So it was a great editor in Jena. This is Marisabel. My YouTube isn't working. All right, no worries, Marisabel. Thank you very much. I have to correct myself because I use the old meaning of nightmare for sleep paralysis, but apparently the meaning has changed. So I might have to change the the subtitle for Head Deal, or just do an explainer at the beginning and then let it like take its own meaning there and then. It is a spec short, as we see. And like Yella said, there are so many Maltese myths and monsters in our folklore. This is right for filmmaking interpretation. Yes, that has always been my thing. I already did this with the Bila short music video called Bellia. They have a great album, like almost sludge metal album, I would call it. Sorry if it's not correct. About Maltese monsters, and it's ripe for interpretation, like Yella said. So I tried to do my own interpretation of Hedilla. Last minute, it's in the name. It was last minute. So in fact, I was thinking like I have to change the intro because it got a bit too meta, and also the ending. I can obviously make it better now because I have an idea of how to. I'm not happy with the ending of Last Minute myself, to be honest. But I think I know how to make it scarier in a sense, like to have this sort of more of an impact, so to speak, like you said, guys. And it's all basically working more to polish the product and make it a better final product before it goes around the festivals, basically. Otherwise, again, the Last Minute, what made it was the actors, the chemistry between Bruce and Mike.
The chemistry between Mike and Bernard is fantastic.
Yeah, and then I by the way, I have to make it clear. I hate you, Bernard Satariano, for taking the jump scare Okay. Because I think we had an effective jump scare, but then again, Bernard Satariano well-deserved jump scare as well. Last Minute was filmed 3 days before the original deadline, and I was sick in it. Exactly. That's how much of a great cast I had, basically. All in all, yeah. And I mean, I was thinking that Last Minute was going to take it because I was more aware of the reaction of Last Minute, of the audience's reaction, than of Hedila. And I haven't heard like the reactions from Hedila so far. But anyway, onwards and upwards, like I say, I think there's always room to improve.
This isn't to diminish anything, but I suppose it's a bit easier to gauge a reaction on something which is meant to elicit laughs than scares.
Definitely, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think there was a moment when I laughed.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, basically, I cut to her vomit, and someone behind us like, "Yeah, I'm eating, guys." You know.
It was more like silence. Yeah.
Exactly. That was so.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Beauty of communal viewing.
But don't worry, guys.
On the topic of graphic things, I'll segue us here to the award that we actually had the most difficulty with as judges, which was the achievement in gore. And that's because I'm just going to say it bluntly, and this isn't criticizing anyone, but there kind of wasn't any this year. And obviously that happens because gore is a tough thing to do with no budget. But we ended up giving it to Mea Culpa at the end just because the effects that they used are extremely convincing of someone having a stick driven through their thorax, basically. It was the toughest one for us to give. In fact, I don't know if Bruce will mind us saying this, but I don't really care at this point. We wanted to abstain this award as judges because we're just like, there is nothing here which defines an achievement in gore. That was how we kind of rationalize our decision process on that one. It was a tough one. If you want to, please, if you want to, you can bribe Francesca with pick and mix. You can't bribe me with anything because I live in a different country. Unless you want to send me Blu-rays, I'll give you my address. I love when anyone gives me a Blu-ray, if you like.
Blu-rays and graphic novels as well, by the way.
Yes. If you want to appeal to what I like in something called Nasties and horror films in general, I like it when someone just goes for something with gore and it doesn't necessarily have to look that good. Like I liked in Handed the fact that they tried their best to show that someone's hand was cut off, and it doesn't look Hollywood level. Obviously, it does not. People are making these films with pennies, basically. I appreciate when you don't have a budget, when you just say, fuck it, you know what, we're going to try it anyway. And if you can get liters of a red liquid and throw it all over someone in some way, you don't need to show me a hand being cut off. You can see someone's hand come down like that and throw a bucket of water and red food coloring at their face. And you instantly have me going, yes, you're trying to make this look like the horror movies of the 70s and the 80s with just blood everywhere. So
my go-to formula
I give
would be ketchup and vinegar, basically. That's what they
I would have liked, when it comes to gore, I'd have liked to see people get messier, honestly. I really want, like, I feel like for an achievement in gore, you're gonna have a fucking hard time cleaning up to it to deserve the achievement in gore. That's what I would have imagined when it comes to gore. And it's going to be annoying and it's going to take a lot of time. It doesn't need to take a lot of money, but it will take a lot of time and effort. But for gore, I mean, yeah, that's what you need.
My advice to you is just go for it. Even if it's not going to look perfect.
Yeah.
If we're going to be involved in this judging process, or I think anyone involved in the judging process of a short, low-budget horror film festival, you're going to appreciate the effort that you went through to get caked in something which is gross, basically.
even something, really simple. I don't know, get like a bunch of condoms and like tie them all together and fill them with a bunch of shit that look like intestines and like curl them up and like kind of like someone's intestines are, I mean, it's obviously not going to look perfect, far from it, but the effort will be appreciated in a competition like this.
If I may suggest, like, guys, watch Brain Dead. Brain Dead is just one full goop of a movie. And but speaking of pick and mix, like, even you can get like jellies and crushed jellies, and it could be like the brains coming out. And no, it is a general comment from mine as well. For something that is horror, yes, I feel like we need more gore. And gore is not necessarily in the sense, like, if you watch like Evil Dead, if you watch like I mentioned Brain Dead, there are some other movies involving gore which looks fucking ridiculous, but somehow people still like go like, especially like someone said that when the face baby comes out from the woman's face, that's from Brain Dead. People were still like, oh, that's horrible. And again, this is ultimately Video Nasties is fun. We need more gore for sure, and do check out. Now there's lots of YouTube tutorials to show you how to do like blood splatter. You can also use now there's Blender. You can also use After Effects. So quickly, I said that I'm glad that one of us won the Jump Right Award. Yes, all right, Bernard, and add some chips with the ketchup. And a quick comment for Mea Culpa, it was one of my favorites. If I were the judge, I would have given it best movie. Simply for I love the double twist ending on last minute. Maybe show less of the actual ghost, but really solid ending. Thank you, Malcolm. I'm thinking of if I going to refilm it, I'm thinking of how to make it scarier some way. But to tell you the truth, like Simone Alamango, which was the second ghost, basically was waiting there for quite some time, and it was like a waste not to use her almost. And she's also great because she's also. I'm not gonna say it's something she's a particular physical ability she can do, and I wish I could have used that physical ability more. Back to Mea Culpa, it was one of my favorites, especially that bike scene. Guys, I don't know if you agree with the bike scene and the way it was edited and shot.
Impeccably shot.
So such great cinematography. If I would comment about Mea Culpa, is there was a moment until it got to the. So for one, the sheet scene, great scene, but then I was like, why would you need a torch if it is so well lit? That's one thing. It was it was greatly shot, a great concept, but it was too well lit. So usually you wouldn't need that torch basically. Inside, yes, obviously, because it was dark. It took a bit some time. Then also when it got into the dark. And someone made a good comment that Jonathan at the end, I forgot the character's name. Jonathan, when he sees, then I forgot the other actor's name. What's his name? Richard.
Friend 1, friend 2.
Ryan. I remember the other guy's name. Ryan. It should have been much more of a happier, like, oh, listen, you're alive. Thank fuck, It was much more like, oh man, it was very chill, to be honest. I think the gore was very powerful in some of the films. I actually had to look away, but maybe it's just me. But otherwise, like even there was the flashes of him like levitating. Great. I'd love to see behind the scenes of it as well.
That's where I have a small issue. Just because again, I don't like to be totally spoon-fed things. Save that for the end. Let them have this conversation. Let me wonder what this guy is so uncomfortable about what his friend has done until he finds him dead in his backyard, and then show me those really cool things. Don't show it to me in the opening minute of the film, because as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, dude did some kind of satanic ritual and everything is fucked from now on.
delayed gratification. Another thing, maybe also but it's just a very small touch up. The audio in the headphones, it was being overpowered by the motorbike and the traffic sounds. Because when he was driving, I think there was the moment where he's like listening to something, and I couldn't catch exactly what was he was. There was some. I know there was some noise in his headphones, which and his helmet, which made me think like, okay, obviously it's now something wrong. But I would have had something clear. Otherwise, man, those bike shots, lighting excellent. Yeah, the steak was also well done. And is it? By the way, is it the same? Is the last villain the same as Mater Mortis?
Yes. I think so.
Survival.
Because when I was seeing the films the second time around, I'm like, why does she look so familiar? And then I was saying like, oh, I think she's the same one as in Mater Mortis.
So if you need your Lilith, there you go. No. If you need a babysitter, no, that's the.
If I may, because we're talking about light, and I think it kind of ties into maybe something we mentioned in our conversation while we're discussing films. I really agree with what you said, Franco, about how you don't need a torch if the place is so well lit. And then maybe, whoever is watching or whoever made the film is like, oh, but then, the person isn't going to see exactly what we set up and our entire kind of production, our set. But guys, keep in mind, like, I just watched the Blair Witch Project. In the scariest bits of the film, you see jack shit. You just hear the voices. There's like chaos, and you just see a torch like moving around the forest, and nothing is clear, but it's terrifying. It doesn't always need to look good. Okay, and I'm not, obviously, everyone enjoys a film that looks good, but that doesn't need to be the priority. If you're trying to scare someone, put them in a situation where they have no idea where the torch is going to go next. And actually, I feel like a film that did this quite well when it came to the torch. I'm just going to look up the name. Untitled Footage, which was actually...
I actually agree. This gave... In fact, that's what kind of like reminded me of Blair Witch Project, because I was getting that vibe throughout the whole thing. It did the thing very well of... the scariest thing is the thing you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why it's always effective if you're going to have some kind of monster or a reveal of something. Withhold it for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Let that tension sit there. The thing that didn't like do it for me at the end of Untitled Footage was the whole reveal of like what it was. It for me the punchline just didn't land in that film. But I appreciate that it must have been inspired by these found footage films. And they did that very well, where it's a lot of this person asking themselves questions and freaking out, and we're not able to see anything.
Yeah.
It's very, very effective in that way.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, like, your audience, no, they're not going to. If you're worrying about, oh, but this isn't going to be lit well, it's fine. All you need is someone either within sight of the camera or out of the camera saying, what the fuck is that? And like a sound of camera. And that's all you need. If you've created the atmosphere, that's going to freak people out. Because imagine you're in a dark room with your friend. You're not seeing anything, but if someone says, what was that? You're immediately terrified. So keep it simple. I mean, obviously, beautiful effects and great shots are always nice, again, but you don't need it. I mean, and this is maybe especially for people who have less resources at hand, you don't need a lot of stuff to scare people. A dark room, couple of weird sounds, someone saying, what was that? There's your horror film.
I would add a good storyline, because I feel, but this is a general note throughout. This is a Maltese thing that we have, that we are so far technically we are fucking great. I'm not gonna lie. Like as far as shooting, like shooting stuff and lighting stuff, we are great. We are good technicians. Storylines is not technically all 100% our fault. We are used to watching like either local. Hi everyone, thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate it. Lana, I have a suggestion for you, by the way, because I saw that you are friends with many other actors, and that would be good for Video Nasties 2025. And I'm also going to give you some feedback about Hunter footage. I was saying we are still lacking in story. And again, it's not true fault of our own. I sometimes I'm too hard on myself with regard to story. And this will eventually go into Mater Mortis as well. Brenton, we already discussed this. Like the dialogue didn't need to be. You have to take care of the dialogue and listen to how people talk as well. Like even when we're talking right now, we don't use big bombastic words. That is unfortunately the Maltese TV trope. Guys, always remember. That's what I'm telling you. Even anyone who's like watching talkies and whatnot, I'm not gonna yuck your yam. Some people like watching the Kardashians. I don't. Some people like watching Maltese TV. I don't. But always be aware. Maltese TV and the way they write dialogue is so overly romantic and melodramatic. I cannot stand it anymore. So don't follow that. I'd rather you sit down, go to a cafe and bar and listen to how people talk between themselves, or else, which I think something that's really worked in last minute, just do a storyline, a beat sheet, and give the actors freedom to come up with their own script rather than have them hand the script and just do the thing. And then you have to take care the other way around, which was also my worry in last minute, not to overdo it, which is something which leads me back to untitled footage. I think Tiana shouting consistently, "What the fuck is wrong? What the fuck is wrong? What the fuck is wrong?" tended to be a bit too repetitive.
Yeah, agreed.
And the Blair Witch Project, I don't know, Lana, can you tell us if the Blair Witch Project was an influence? Because I felt it was quite an influence. Great influence, by the way. So when she goes, "What the fuck is that?" I'd rather have her turn the camera and point. Okay, so like Francesca said, great feedback. Like, do make her point and use the torch somewhere. And I would have used something of a bigger torch. There's these torches that I think they can grow their circumference as well. And I would suggest also to see some of these ghost hunting videos. I think one of my influences is ghost hunting videos on TikTok or on YouTube. Or like if you go to Nuke's Top 5, some of them are, I don't care whether they're true or not, but some of them are fucking scary. Like there was one recently about a demon in a French home, and the way that it is made, and you see this dark silhouette, it was like chilling, like quite chilling.
You're reminding me at the very end, maybe a spoiler for Blair Witch Project, but you're reminding me that the very, very, very effective end of the Blair Witch Project was something super simple. And basically she just sees her friend standing in a fucking dark corner, just staring. No scary movements, no costumes, nothing. And that was like, it scared the shit out of me.
It's one of the most unsettling like endings ever, where you're just
and simplest.
That's it. A film called The Blair Witch Project. Spoilers for The Blair Witch. There is no Blair Witch. There is no physical witch that we ever see in that film. That film is all about capturing the feeling of being fucking lost and not knowing what is around you.
Honestly, I think it's the perfect kind of film if you're thinking about making something along these lines. I mean, the budget for that, like, what did they have, you know? I mean, they had like a tent and they just tied some twigs together. I mean, it's very doable on a low budget. But
higher production, the cast slept in the tent the entire time. The camera that they made it on, they bought from a video store and then returned it once production was finished. They could get their money back on that one. Like, I think the budget for that film was something like $30,000 US, which, okay, that's a lot of money to make a film with. But when you consider, one, how much money it made after that, and two, how they managed to do with it. That's essentially what the travel and catering costs would be for a very big budget film.
Yeah, and obviously it was a full-length feature film. But I want to go back to something you said, Franco, because it reminded me of two films when you were talking about dialogue. And this thing of using dialogue that we use in the day-to-day life, I think cannot be stressed enough. I totally agree with what you said. And I feel like one film that could, like, I really noticed the use of dialogue that we don't really use in day-to-day life was in The Bride. There were a couple of moments where I felt like there was one bit when they said awfully, I feel awfully, da da da. And it really sticks out to whoever's watching when it's dialogue that you would not use. And to counter that, a film that I feel like did this really well was Embers. The two friends sitting near the bonfire.
To a bonfire.
Sorry?
Felt like two friends sitting next to a bonfire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It felt totally realistic. The texting, the body language, the script, the way that they were relating to each other, I felt like they had that down pat. So well done, guys, for that. And that, I think, is what we need more of. If you're writing a script, maybe have yourselves read it out in very conversational language or setting, and if it doesn't feel real, just change it up.
My note would be: I know sometimes we tend to feel protective of our own creations. Don't try not to be. I know, and it's a process. It's a process you'll have to learn along the way, and trust your actors more. Like, for example, the vomit scene was not going to be included. Cassandra suggested, so to speak. In last minute, some of the lines were suggested by the actors themselves. Plus, I also used the outtakes. Like the pastizzi was not in script, for example. I said this sounded so natural, so that to throw off the audience and make it seem like, okay. So there's many ways you can go around it. I suggested have a look, guys, at analog horror as well. Speaking of low budget, zero budget movies, analog horror basically is this niche of horror on YouTube where basically they use all the they make something like they use identities of these old 80s channels, and then they make stories around it. Like there's one great, I think it's called Arcadia 85, where it's basically an Alaskan TV channel. And next to this TV channel, basically, there's an American base where they're experimenting in contacting parallel universe. And an accident happens, this base explodes, and basically they have fissures coming out. And it's great. It's simple. It's simple. Just photos, text. It needs, obviously, analog horror now has gone into its found footage. What do they say? Peak, and then it goes down into fall. Exactly. Where you have to make sure you have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it fresh. There's also the back rooms. If you know the back rooms, there's also the old word, if I'm not mistaken, where basically a guy walks thousands and thousands and thousands of steps inside the earth, and he ends up into a freaking mall, an empty mall, and he's being chased by this giant puppet thing. By the way, this is Kane Pixels, a guy who's now going to be working with A24. A 17-year-old guy. He all made this with Blender. So there's opportunity, guys. Just think outside the box, and remember, we are competing against Netflix, not against talkies and whatnot. We are competing against Netflix. Blah blah blah. One last thing about I think I can go through to Mater Mortis, because the thing about well lit was also a comment I gave Brenton about it being well lit. I know the makeup was amazing, well done. I think if there was a best production award, it would have gone to Mater Mortis. Excellent. I think excellent production design. The makeup was great. I know it sounds counterintuitive, But sometimes the darker you go, and we spoke about it, Brenton, I know that you had a bit of a problem about balancing the background and the foreground out. But there is a way for sure to make it work. I know it sounds counterintuitive for other people. Sometimes the darker it is, the better, so that you don't lose the effect of, for example, maybe let's imagine I'm being very simplistic here, but imagine you have a blood splatter and the red is not dark enough, and let's say you're not a good colorist. Just tone down the exposure a bit, and it still would be more effective. Or for example, you don't have the cut showing where someone was hit in the head, so don't show the cut, just show the blood splatter. So try to find ways. Basically, all you're doing is cheating your way through. And like I said, Mater Mortis, the dialogue. There was a great camera scene when the camera was going around. That was a very nice touch. But and then yes, the dialogue I already spoke to Brett. There's no need to say anything else. That was the lighting as well. Oh yes, we're going to have now Ariana extended universe now, where basically she's the devil and she's gonna battle Bernard Satariano. The universes are gonna clash. The priest from Son of God and Rihanna Lilith, basically. That's going to be the next video Nasties. And
Yes,
Lana, please get in touch.
If we stay on Bernard, I guess we can go through the best jump fright.
Yeah.
Game, which we obviously gave to Identity. Really effective, and Bernard, I have no issue telling you your performance is fantastic in it. And it wasn't just like after you did the introductions of each personality, then you switched between them fairly quickly. It was so convincing that I didn't have to guess of which person was being depicted. But you did what you needed to do really effectively with jump fright. A jump fright is a very, very difficult thing to do. Most people think it's easy, just a loud noise or something coming up to the screen really quickly. But what was good about it is that it was actually unexpected in this case as well. To give you some different feedback from my end, it kind of took me out of the film immediately. And I remember, because I was messaging Francesca back and forth as we were watching these films, I didn't need the claim at the beginning of this is footage found on the dark web or something like that. I don't need it. In my opinion, it just doesn't need to be there, for lack of a better term. If it was just you looking down camera about something, I would have been like, okay, this guy is obviously being interviewed for something, or it's a tape from somewhere. If you want to show that instead, have someone, it's a little bit of extra work, but have someone walk up to a computer and stick in a USB stick and open a file, and that opens, and it's that. And that immediately tells me, okay, this is something which was taken from the internet, and someone is watching this back for whatever reason. Me, those kinds of claims, it's the same kind of thing I had told Ashley with this film. Trust your audience. Make the conclusions themselves, especially when you have a good idea, a good story, and you had both of those. Yes, that's the only main bit of feedback I can give you on Identity. He gave you best jump fright because it was, in my opinion, by far and away the best one of what a jump fright needs to be in that case.
I think for me, something that made the jump fright particularly effective was the fact that you left the chair and we're seeing a silhouette doing something, if I remember correctly. And the fact that the camera is still trained on the chair gives us a little bit of tension, because we're saying, well, the film hasn't ended yet, so something might happen. And that is tension building. And that's then kind of the fact that even something's happening in the distance, someone might kind of sit forward and say, oh, what's happening? And then it's your face on the screen. That made it super effective. And that might be a comment on jump frights in general. If you want an effective jump fright, you need to build up some tension. And I felt for example, in a film, I'm just going to find the name again. in Absinthe, I felt like the jump fight could have used a bit more of that. I remember feeling like the jump fight happened a bit too quickly. So there wasn't enough time for the audience to be like, what's going to happen? And then the hand kind of comes out of the fire, I think. And I felt like in that moment, if anyone from Absence listening, I think, I don't know if I thought this or you told me this, Joe, but the camera remained on the hand a little bit too much for a beat too long. And that is also another important part of the jump fight, that we didn't see Bernard's face for a second too long. Because I feel like if the jump fight needs to be a moment. And obviously getting that right takes time and probably a lot of editing. And again, try, if you have time, show it to people and try and get their feedback if possible. Because as the person making it, it's difficult to gauge, I guess. But for me, that's what made the jump fight and identity so effective.
Okay, well, Brenton said, to be honest, my rewarding moment in the theater was the deafening silence there was in scene 2 when Willett was drawing on Ryan's chest with his own blood. Oh, my face was full of fake blood in the jump fight, and I had to operate the camera with sticky hands. But like Fran said, you have to get messy, brother. And yeah, please, Bernard.
But it worked, for me, the fact that, your face was covered in fake blood, it worked. I think it wouldn't have worked so well if you didn't have the blood on your face, so it did what it needed to do.
Plus, I wouldn't be too worried. Well, we've obviously had Bernard and I, obviously we've worked together, so we have these kind of conversations. I wouldn't be worried that you'd be typecast as a comic actor, because the identity, if anything, it's a great audition tape for you to show your range. So please, this is a general note. Be confident in your talents. There were some people like when I see these movies, I also see like, I want to work with that person. I want to work with that person. Yeah. Bradley Spiteri, again, something Liam Spiteri, I want to mention. Miguel Formosa, great filming, by the way, with Embers. Jonathan Vella, Ryan. Who else? Was Chrissy, right? The bride.
Yeah.
So thanks for the feedback, guys. Yes, in fact, the main reason why I did identity was to be able to act in something. And you did great, man.
Yeah.
I still want to give...
With any consolation for Bernard, I unfortunately still haven't seen Son of God by Bruce, but now it is finally online, so I will go and see it. I've never seen anything that Bernard was in before. I happened to watch Identity before I watched Last Minute. And my first thought was, after seeing Identity, was, one, the performance is great in that, but then seeing Bernard again in Last Minute, there was the kind of like any drop of, holy shit, this guy can do comedy as well. So, don't believe in being typecast, basically.
I think the only person who can typecast you is yourself. I think if you are used to being the comedian, you have the power to scare people the most, because they are not going to see it coming. So just step into that creepy side of yourself, which we all have, and let it free.
Yeah. There was Jordan Peele that had said as well, because he was someone who obviously worked in comedy for so long.
Exactly.
And had a very big career in horror. He said the reason why he feels it works is the timing of a joke is eerily similar to the timing of a scare. And I think that's exactly correct. I think only someone who knows how to time a joke well could time a jump scare that well as you did in Identity. So I would give yourself a lot of credit on that one.
For sure.
That's it.
Shall we jump? To the twist ending, maybe, because we haven't mentioned Bad Dreams yet.
True, a great one-take concept, by the way. Great one-take concept. They're Malta's power couple. These guys are gonna take all the awards. It seems like the Villa cards.
I found this scary. The only thing, I mean, and I really liked the ending. The only thing which I think would have made it better would have been a bit less exposition at the end. I felt like the conversation, the phone conversation, could have not repeated, it was a prank, because would the couple on the phone have said it was a prank if they're the two people who planned the prank?
But you and I totally agreed. I said if you had done something like you've heard the fall and you're just going like, holy shit, and you're just like calling out her name and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then like maybe shouting out to someone who's maybe on the other, like in the room with the person who's on the phone, being like, holy fuck, we need to get there. Like, I think she's hurt kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That does enough.
Exactly.
Right. It was a joke. It was
Uh-huh.
or something like that.
And it doesn't matter if not everyone understands a prank. It's okay. Because the fact that you've left us a bit confused, and this is obviously not an easy balance to get, right? So what we're talking about is my brain switches off at 10, by the way, guys. 6 minutes pause, so I would rather be a little bit confused than have someone tell me exactly what was happening, because up until then I was just, you had great mystery throughout the film, right? You're just like, what the fuck is happening? And I don't want that totally answered by the end, Let's keep that mystery going. It is a horror film, so it's fine that we don't know exactly what happened at the end. Again, I think it's like the 5th time I'm calling it out, but at the end of the Blair Witch Project, we don't know why the fuck her friend is standing in the corner looking in the dark, right? It doesn't matter because it's terrifying, right? And what happened at the end of your film was scary, She fell, she hit her head. So we don't really need to know. I mean, all we need to know is that there was confusion, chaos, and some creepy shit was happening. Leave it as creepy shit. Okay? Don't need to explain it.
Yep, I totally agree. This was one where you and I were just like the exact same.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hugely commendable for the fact that it was all one take and really well shot and all really well lit.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very, very good concept, but never ever be afraid to give less. And even to the point of, as you said, Fran, don't be afraid if some of your audience members don't get it, because if you can provoke conversation from a film that you made prior to it ending, that is actually, in my opinion, the biggest compliment that you can get. If someone can go like, man, I don't really know what that meant, and then they spark that conversation with someone that did, that's one of the best things you can get. I had a conversation with a friend of a friend fairly recently where he was talking to me about films. He asked me ones I've seen in the last couple of years which I really loved. I mentioned Midsummer, and he was like, I really didn't like Midsummer. And I said, like, okay, why? Like, let's get into it kind of thing. He just, for lack of wasting 45 minutes of us going into our whole conversation, he just didn't get it, like what it was actually trying to say. And then when I kind of like got him to come to the conclusions that that film wants you to come to, and I explained certain things, it then kind of clicked in his head, and he was like, holy shit, that's actually really good. And that's, conversation is the best thing that we can get out. Again, we said it for all these films. Like, in fact, like I said, one of the things, like between judges, what I wish we saw a little bit less of. Franco's at a rave. One of the things I wish we saw a little bit less of, and people that have seen any of my reviews on recent horror films and people that just know me in general, is I do not like the term elevated horror, because horror has always had deep intrinsic meaning in certain horror films ever since horror films have been being made. And this kind of term, which has become a thing through films like Neon or from A24, where they've got this deep psychological message and stuff, and they go, oh, that's elevated horror, You don't have to imbue your film with something really means something. You know, like horror heads like me, sometimes I just want to see someone get ripped to bits. You know, I want to see someone get chased with a knife. And I do love these films which then have these deeper meanings to them. Like I love films like I mentioned Midsummer. I've got a Hereditary poster sitting in front of me on the wall right now, you know? Especially when you're making a short, the best advice I can give to everyone is just keep it fucking simple. You know, make it effective. That's the main thing. If you want to make it horror comedy, make sure it's creepy but also very funny. If you're making just a horror film, make sure your scares are effective and don't worry about anything else. The advice I gave to Ashley of, I don't need to know that this was some kind of moral lesson. I should be able to, if that's what you want, I should be able to get it from your story, and I was getting it from Ashley's with the way he decided to tell it before he decided to then have himself read out a little bit of a blurb at the end of the film. You know? It's just trust in yourself, trust in your idea, but most importantly, trust in the audience to come to those kinds of conclusions.
Yeah. And in fact, those ended up being the most effective films. That they were the super simple ones, because I feel like other films that tried to do a lot more and had more complex, I don't know, story or meaning or message, it was difficult to achieve in 10 minutes or 12. I mean, no film was longer than 12 minutes. So I feel like, again, a film like Absent, The Bride, I feel like a lot was trying to be said, but it was 10 minutes, and there's only so much that your audience can process in 10 minutes while also getting scared. So as Joe's saying, keep it as simple as you can. Then yeah, if you're going to make a longer film, 20 minutes you can put in more, but for a 10-minute film or less, just as simple as possible.
Anelia Guteva, Bad Dreams reminds me a lot of another short horror film called Storytime by Dylan Clark. I would like to see it. By the way, but speaking of Absent, though, I have to commend, again, if there was a Best Actor award, James killed it, I have to say. I mean, James was really good in it, no?
I feel like it was a very difficult role to play. I feel like there were parts that didn't quite hit the notes for me. Again, it was a very complex roller coaster of emotions that this character went through, and I felt like it was a bit too much for the film. I felt like till about the halfway mark I was on board, and then when, rather than his acting per se, I couldn't get on board with the emotions that he was feeling, because I hadn't been with the character long enough to get on board with this heartbreak and loss of his family. It was way too much to process emotionally. So then, unfortunately, that impacts the effectivity of the acting as well, in my opinion, at least. I don't know whether Joe agrees or not, but for me, it was too complex emotionally. To be fair, I tend to go for more understated acting, and like we said, some of my favorite acting was honestly Embers. It was much quieter acting, but it was much more naturalistic. And that's, for me, I mean, there also are styles, though. They were very different styles, so maybe it's not very fair to compare them, but I found it much more believable. And for me, that's what hits the mark.
Like for me with Absent, I think it's a really good idea. Someone with this kind of trauma and grief, and they've got these dolls around. At least for me, I kind of got in the opening couple of minutes, like, this guy is definitely traumatized by a family that he was part of, and they're now no longer here, and he's using the dolls to replace them. I kind of wish the ending to that film was him setting fire to the dolls and just sitting there and crying quietly. I would have gotten everything I needed from that, and I thought that would have been really effective. For me, where you say writing kind of underpins the performance is I can't believe anyone would come out with that kind of monologue when they've just done something like that in that way. It's far too expositional and extra. This guy has gone through this, and then he's sitting there having a drink and crying and being like, oh, because they did this to me and that, and I was never good enough. That immediately makes it a lot less real, in my opinion. It's still a very good idea and a very effective film, and as you say, the performance is for the most part very good, but I do agree with Francesca to an extent of sometimes writing can affect the performance in that way, when you're having to put far too much into something where you only have 12 minutes to show something. Again, hark back to a little rant before. Less, guys. Don't be afraid to do less. If you think it's too simple, you're probably on the right track in that.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about a film, which I think does a lot, and this was the winner of our What the Fuck is Wrong with You award. This was another pretty tough one to give, I think, for mainly for Francesca in this case, and a little bit for Theodore on the call. But as soon as I watched this film, it was just like straight in my mind of this is the What the Fuck is Wrong with You award, and it was Unhanded. And this is not to make fun of that film in any way. I actually really liked it. It's really charming. I said to Francesca immediately, it is one of the ones this year that, yes, understood what a video nasty is, where it's really low budget and they didn't give a shit and they were trying.
Francesca with her pick and mix, sorry, because we're here in the open.
Sorry, I'm eating again. I'm just non-stop hungry today. Okay, continue.
Yeah, as I said, it's just people with no budget, with what they have, and they're saying, fuck it, we've got this idea, we don't really care. It's got the charm of feeling a little bit like a first draft as well, and it just made me think of something like Room. And now people might think that that is me being like, oh, but The Room is a really bad film, so you're saying this film is really bad. No, I'm not saying this film is like The Room. It is the energy and the charm that it omitted. And that's why, for me, it was my easy, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because it was just like, you know what, fuck it, guys. This is what it is. These are the choices that we're making with dialogue. These are the choices that we're making with why this guy's hand has been cut off, or with the story. And I really, really, really like a swing. People that have watched my reviews, have kept up with the podcast, I really, really give credit where credit is due for someone just out of bat and just going for it, you know? That's why it did it for me.
I'm gonna pull a bit the reins a bit here, but because for the award of What the Fuck is Wrong with You, well deserved. But at the same time, then now let's try for the second time round. Let's try to make this thing clearer that you're not in it to make something serious, because the tone was a bit. By the way, thank you for your appreciation of the effort. Thank you for all the time constructive criticism throughout all entries. Thank you, Luke, for following us. Also, guys, other guys that want to chat, leave a message. Back to Unhanded. If you think that if you feel that you're going for, I mean, because at the end, like the laugh, this smile at the end towards the cameras, it was what was the key for me, basically. The key that said, okay, this guy's not taking this seriously. He's just having fun. Fun was had, and I think though, do give a bit more care to your filmmaking. Do give grade it properly, and. I think I know we're jumping a lot from one movie to another. I think people who really do this well is Joseph Kauki and Clifford Schwirep with Starstruck and the guys who did Teeth.
I really like Starstruck as well. I really enjoyed that.
Same.
Starstruck, my only comment, and I agree. Why didn't you do this in Maltese? You should just go for it, guys. Do it in Maltese. Don't go for English because one. So, and someone did say, this is basically someone else's feedback. Alan is good in Maltese. Let's just go in Maltese. Don't worry. I think people will take it. I know there was maybe the problem with subtitles, but I always quote our dear friend of the show, Bong Joon-ho, that 1.5 inch of subtitles should not keep you from enjoying a movie. Starstruck, like I think one particular shot that stuck with me was, you telling me, Lala, out of all shots, the shot of the Burger King cup falling down. It was so effective.
That was really good shot.
It was such a great shot, very effective, and also great use of location, because I really wanted I wanted to shoot at least not Birgu. I want to shoot in Bormla as well, in Cospiqua, because that's a really very underused location.
One comment I would have for Starstruck would be maybe the bit where the guy is following him around. It maybe was a bit too extended. I felt like we'd seen it enough times. I like the pissing against the wall part, so that wouldn't have been the parts that I took away from, but I didn't feel like we needed to see it happen 3 or 4 times. You know, I think maybe twice, maximum maybe 3 times, but then by the time he was pissing against the wall, I'm just like, come on, man, okay, just, you know, the bit of the camera of when he's like sitting on the phone, he's trying to take a photo and it's not in the, like, that was good, and I would have kept the pissing against the wall part, but then after, like, in a short, your audience is going to get impatient. So, you know, I felt like that bit could have been shortened a little bit. Because then the parts, you don't want to lose them before you get to the amazing parts, you know, where they start talking about the mummy. Because I felt like that bit, like, it killed me. And, like, I watched it about 3 times, and every time I was crying with laughter. So don't then spend too much time building up the tension, because then you're going to lose them before you get to the good bit. But otherwise, great film. I really enjoyed it. Also really enjoyed T last year as well. So good job.
Like I said, like you have I think you are onto something which we don't really, you have a tendency to really, you're good with appending horror expectations. Keep perfecting it, and again, it's like, don't be afraid to use Maltese rather than English. What Francesca said is right. You should maybe try to make sure that give it more horror. I think the stalking bit needed a bit more like a shadow. But I think I like the part where you said, like, you first see him in the wall, and then
that was really good.
And that
was a small jump scare as well, when like you don't see the camera, it's like right behind him. That was like, I got a bit of a fright there. But maybe a bit more scary. But honestly, I don't know if you guys have made other films other than Teeth and this one, but they're super original, both of them, and really enjoyable. So, like Frank was saying, keep at it.
What would I want? I think a recent movie which has great jump scares, Smile 2. Mela, Cinevision Films. Hi everyone, glad you enjoyed our short film and for the feedback as well. Cinevision Films, which short was yours, please?
Starstruck?
No, I don't know. No, Starstruck are something. I thought there was something else. Now back to One-Handed again. Do give. I think Joe is right. There was a charm, but make it clear from the beginning, because then there's a huge risk of losing the audience. Like why are they doing the bad acting? It's like, again, as long as you enjoyed making it, as long as you know what you were doing and the choices were effective, do give more care to your movie. Like, it wasn't like, it's a shame that it wasn't graded, you know. And again, by the way, this goes for all of the guys over here. We are here not to just to criticize and whatnot. There's a huge community, and if you say, guys, I need some help, if people can give you help, they will give you help. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Star Trek Cinevision, all right, Francesca kellha raġun mela.
Right. I think we.
Italiano.
Most inventive death.
Exactly, yeah. That's the only one I think of the winners that we haven't spoken about, right?
And this was one which at least Andrea wanted for best film, I believe. At least, I mean, I really, really enjoyed Final Hours. It's really well made. It's funny. But I have to say, as being a purist, it is not a horror film. It is a farcical comedy, and that is, again, not to diminish anything. If I had been the judge of a comedy festival, you're probably winning. And the reason I say it's not a horror film, people might say like, "Oh, but this guy is trying to kill him" and stuff like that. None of that is ridiculous within the world of the film that has been built. It is pretty ridiculous from the off with that film, and it's great. It's really well done, really well made. And I didn't think I would ever see anyone die by slipping on a dildo, but I guess I have now. And it was a very easy one for us to pick with most inventive death.
What I said. So you go, Fran.
Go ahead, Franco.
What I said to Clive, if he should watch Boys Afraid.
Yep.
Because it has the same energy, that same energy of nightmarish comedy. That it is terrifying, but at the same time, you cannot help but laugh. And whether you're laughing nervously or at what's happening to this unfortunate protagonist, it's up to the audience.
But what Bo is Afraid had that this film didn't have was a build-up of tension. Like, oh my god, he forgot the keys, and now, oh my god, he's going to lock up the apartment, and there's this crazy shit going on outside. Like, I never felt like the characters in Final Hours any of the characters were actually in danger. Like, I didn't feel like there wasn't a build-up of because Raphael's character, okay, yes, he was like chasing him around, but there didn't feel like there was any real danger. You know, I mean, maybe I'm not a man who's afraid of being attacked in the ass, but I didn't feel like there was enough tension for it to be horror.
Because it goes very quickly. Like, I don't know what the filmmakers were trying to get across with their opening of, if you're sensitive to scenes of sexual assault and stuff like this, you should get her and stuff like that. And then even the messaging at the end of, accidents actually really do happen on film sets, but then they make a little bit of a joke at them themselves as well. Much text, guys. I don't. It's not very important. Your film is really well made and it's really fun. But to go back to what Francesca was saying is, as soon as Raphael appears at that door, plus with the performance he's giving and with the words he's saying, I was immediately like, this is going to be fucking wild. Whatever happens here, there was just a vibe to it, and I can't understate. Like, even in my review I wrote on my phone, I said this is fucking gas, which is basically a term over here to say like this is so much fun. It really was, but you could have done that build up of tension, but I guess then you'd have to take away from other things because you don't have the time to do it. Like, another thing which Bo is Afraid has over this film is Bo is Afraid is a 3 hour and 20-minute film.
No, but honestly, I mean, all right, it's still like the first half hour, but for me, the best part of Bo is Afraid is like the first 20 minutes.
Yes, for sure.
Which is still longer than the film we're talking about, and I get what you mean, but bad stuff was happening, and I don't feel like, maybe to reduce it to a simple statement, I didn't feel like bad stuff was happening or there was any risk of bad stuff happening in Final Hours, because for me personally, from my perception, this guy getting, I don't know, fucked in the ass by a male prostitute wasn't a bad thing happening. You know, it wasn't a scary concept.
Yeah, it's even just what we know about character as well. If we're to believe at the beginning of this film that this is someone who is contemplating suicide and is doing this as like their final swan song, that provided me with someone who has nothing to lose. Therefore,
sorry, go ahead.
In the case of Beau is Afraid, you establish very early on in the opening minutes of the film that this is a deeply terrified and anxious and meek person, and that's why things are dealt with in a, like, I guess, effect in a more horror sort of way than in a comedy sort of way.
Yeah, it needed basically Boys Afraid length notwithstanding, it's the anxiety that it needed more anxiety with this. As like
so why not for a film like Final Hours make the main dude, the one who's going to commit suicide, why not make him an extremely homophobic man? Maybe establish that at the beginning. And then that ramps up the tension because, oh shit, the worst possible thing is going to happen to this man. And suddenly you've created that dynamic of tension, whereas he was just someone who was going to commit suicide, and now he has come. So actually something bad was going to happen, and it was immediately stopped. So I'm fine now. But if maybe you've established that this guy, like his worst fear is about to happen, then maybe we will feel a bit tense about Rachel arriving at his house, But without that, I don't see what, like.
Otherwise, it was hilarious.
Yeah, of course. No, of course.
Great time watching it. Like I really enjoyed
it. For
sure. What time is it, guys?
It is 10:30.
Oh my god. I'm going to mention some people. First, we also have to mention Retribution, which is already doing like it was nominated for Best Actor Award. It had the nominee for Best Actor Awards for London Halloween Film Festival, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to Retribution. Again, so not to make this too long, it's 10:30. People work tomorrow. My other honorable mention would have been New Edition for me. It was so charming for me, and
yes, I really liked New Edition as well.
And Happy Halloween from what was the from Pizza Factory.
I love that.
I really like New Edition as well. It was another one where I said like this gets what a video nasty is, where it's simple. They're dealing with the concept of a clown, which is you could say a cliche of the horror genre at this point, but frankly, people are still afraid of clowns, so that's great and just simple and effective. Like one I can put as an honorable mention, and I feel like I'm a little bit alone on this hill. Is the name has just gone out of my head. I don't know why that happened.
The Golden Land.
Golden Land is.
Oh no! Wait, no. You're gonna say The Regret.
The Regret, yes, because I don't know if anyone was like me in the 2000s and had pretty unrestricted access to the internet and frequented a website called eBombs World.
Oh yeah, it had that energy. Yes.
Yes, where on eBombs World you could play like games and stuff, and they had videos as well. And you'd frequently see things which, as a 6 or 7-year-old kid, you probably shouldn't see. And the kind of like art style that was in Regret, one took me back to that era. I thought it was really cool to see something like that, and based on mainly sound design and image. I thought it was really effective, like the way that was done. I thought that was almost there for me for what could have been best film. I like that film so much.
So we have any feedback for the Rotten Blade from the Malia, and if any other creators are here, please let us know if you want feedback or forever hold your silence. Feedback for the Rotten Blade. Please don't use Papyrus as a font. that's and it's I am half joking because graphic design wise it's a sin basically, unless you're using Papyrus as in the SNL skit, go for it. But any further feedback on Retribution soon enough. Okay, so I think it is either Edward Thorpe, I think. So Rotten Blade, some of the cinematography was great. The black and white and the silhouette was amazing.
The shot of, I think it was Salib Taloria in Sicily. That was gorgeous. I felt like, again, it was trying story-wise. I felt like it needed to be simpler. And maybe you'll say, oh, but, we explained everything. It's not about telling the story and explaining and expecting the audience to absorb it in 5 to 10 minutes. It was a bit too much story-wise.
Yeah, exposition. Too much exposition.
And yes, and that's what happens then. If you have a big story in 7 minutes, you're going to end up with some exposition because that's the only option you're left with. And personally, it didn't work for me that, in one kind of monologue, or I can't remember if it was a prayer of sorts, everything is told to me. Like we're saying, show, not tell. So for me, that was my main problem with Rotten Blade. Some gorgeous shots again. And the last bit was quite creepy when he was kind of waiting alone in the building for the visitor. But that's kind of brought it a bit down for me.
By the way, this year's video Nasties was sponsored by candles.
Candles and cigarettes.
And cigarettes, yes.
I mean, guys, the amount of smoking in these films. Wow.
I will say on the Rotten Blade, I agree with you, it's very expositional, but I will give credit where credit is due. It's actually pretty beautifully written, like the language used and stuff like that. I have to commend you. I don't know your name, I'm sorry. I watched 28 short films.
Jay Malia.
You're definitely a very, very talented writer with a way with words. So give yourself credit over there. Don't go too much into the exposition. My biggest problem with the Rotten Blade was I didn't understand what world your film was set in. Because you're showing me what seems to be something very old-fashioned. And there's a guy with a bow and arrow and a sword and stuff like that. So I'm going, okay, this is obviously medieval. Then you have electricity. And I'm sorry, I might be a stickler for this, but my first thought when I saw that was like, where are we? And at least for me, really takes out any kind of belief I'm going to have in the story that you're telling at the same time. Because my mind is then too preoccupied with exactly where is this? But as I said, you've said it, I don't know how many times so far. Less, you write beautifully and believe in that. And another thing I would say, it doesn't feel as much of a horror as it should. Because there isn't that just like real hit we need. I think maybe actually, I kind of, because I liked what you were going for with it, of like this kind of like confessional from a priest and stuff. I thought a cool way to do it was if you had a priest confessing something to another priest in a confession booth, and as he's getting the story out, and then just a sword comes through his chest before he gets it all out. Boom, that's already very effective. It might not work on the screen. I might be totally full of shit, but that's what your concept made me think of.
I was gonna say actually, like as far as concept goes, like that a priest did not help, and basically this comes back to haunt him in an undead soldier was a great concept. I was gonna say, in fact, so first you light the candles and then you show the electricity. I'm like, hold on a sec now. So please do take note of these details here and there. And without, I try not to take too long about this feedback. Again, show don't tell. I'd rather have one line of exposition and then show like the undead person killing someone. That's Joe's suggestion is great. Like this guy is basically. I'm spoiling if you're deciding to change the twist ending. If anything, the priest would be the undead person.
Yeah,
and then
that's another one I thought of as well.
Yeah, it's like he's confessing to the undead person, and then you see the blade basically stabbing the priest basically. So with any further feedback on Retribution, To be honest, I didn't. I have to see it again. I have to be honest. Because I did like certain the cinematography aspect of it. I felt it was maybe running around in circles. Like we get that maybe the reveal of why this guy is taken hostage happened in the end rather than the beginning. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It was from the outset that we know that this guy is basically the guy's father, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But it's not the twist at the end, surely.
No. But I think for further tensions, like why is this guy? I think maybe it could have gone more. That could have gone more towards the end, and then it would be more effective. I like the twist at the end as well. That basically you think this guy's gonna be killed, and then what happened is like the baptism of blood, so to speak. Again, I have to watch it again.
One thing I felt for Retribution was I feel like there was a bit too much build up that was the same, in the sense that I felt that there were a few minutes where similar things were being said in this monologue, and it wasn't giving me new information, so it felt a bit kind of okay, kind of next. The acting was fantastic, I thought, but I felt like the script could have maybe been a bit shorter, or maybe could have. This one was a tricky one. I like the idea what you said, Franco, about the reveal about him being the father as late as possible, because the moment we know he's his father, then we're like, okay, he's very angry at his father, and he's either going to kill him, or well, he ends up not killing him and killing him himself. But I would have either added some other twist before that, or just made it shorter, because it did feel like there was a bit too much build up there, which then reduced the tension for me by the time the action happens.
Again, I have to watch it again, but that was one thing I can. What about you, Joe? Before we go to the regret.
Oh, the regret. What at least I took from it, which I thought was
Retribution. We're still on Retribution, Joe.
Retribution. I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay.
I'm in complete agreement. The performances, save your twist for as long as possible. Especially with a short film.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations, because I think this was also the first time for Ed, I think, for Edward and Drew, it was the first horror, so to speak. So, guys, again, only up from here. I look forward to see what you did next. Especially if I have to mention, Mother's Kiss was for me a jump for James as well. If I have to be honest, he's always taking risks. But from the one shot that we had last year with Tea with Deadly, to Mother's Kiss, there was a bit more like camera work, not much. I think there was also the switch where basically she switched off the room, and then there's that.
That was there was an audible reaction to that in the cinema. It was a really good transition. Sorry, Joe, you were going to start talking about the regret, but now that we're talking about Mother's Kiss, even the bit, honestly, I found really effective when she walks into the room and there's that kind of silhouette on the side. I love that stuff, that kind of you're seeing something, the character is not necessarily addressing it, kind of like in your film, Franco, where Cassandra didn't even acknowledge the scary shit happening in the stairwell. And I think that is so effective, and it's so simple and so easily done. But the fact that the protagonist is not feeling the fear as an audience member, there's a word for it.
It's suspense.
No, it's like when the audience knows something more than the character. It's something used in theater, anyway, whatever. But the audience feels like they need to feel the fear for the protagonist because, oh shit, the protagonist doesn't even know. And we are terrified. You know, it's used a lot in panto, but in a comic kind of sense. So props to you for that.
By the way, it's not James Sutton because most of the work was done by the ladies. So Bernie Gregg, oh my goodness, Janet Smith, and I forgot her. The scriptwriter was also her daughter-in-law, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. No, well done. If anything, Mother's Kiss, the mirror scene, it needed the audio needed to be clear. It also confused the audience. Like, wait, did the sister? What happened with the sister? Did she survive or not?
I was a bit confused with the actual storyline, to be honest, for Mother's Kiss. I felt like there were some individual scenes that were quite effective, but the actual story itself, again, I don't know if it maybe it was a bit too complex for a short film. But I think if there's one takeaway from this whole conversation, guys, is keep it like as simple as possible.
And Tiana for Babysitter of the Year.
Maybe we could use this as a segue into the regret, which was masterclasses in simplicity. Joe?
Okay, it's my turn.
It was very much your film, but actually, to be fair, after you kind of talked about it so much on a second viewing, I did kind of pay attention to the stuff that he spoke about, and I did recognize that it's a very decent film. But go ahead.
No, to answer the question of what I understood from it, there's, I guess, two separate schools of thought for it, which is, does this person regret committing suicide in this very anxious situation they were in because they are now dead, or because two young people have had to find her body at the end of this? And on the two different times I've watched it, I felt differently about either one. And I think that that's the power of it, and the fact that you did it without actually having to say anything. Again, the art style I can really commend. The art style in itself is really unsettling. It's also, even though it made me think of these videos I used to watch on the internet, I still can't think of anything which I can compare it to in terms of the art style. Like, I'm not going to say like it evokes Tim Burton or something like that, because it doesn't. It is wholly unique. The way it reminds me of these videos I used to watch is in what it does with its storytelling and its vibe. I actually can't wait to see what you take on next, because I love these little, like, I call them like more experimental films where there's clearly like a niche that they're in, and it's a great thing, and it's a great thing that these exist. And I did not expect to see anything like this at a short horror film festival in Malta, and that's not to diminish anyone's talents whatsoever, which I think is another reason why it just really stuck in my mind, because there is no other film like The Regret in all the years of Video Nasties that I've been watching and partaking in this film festival. So that's a bit of a long-winded answer for what I think I understand by it, but I don't know. It's a very good one to think about. And the fact that, again, without saying any words, with something so simple, you're getting me to think that much about it, I can only give you heaps of credit for that. I don't know if you guys agree with me in that respect.
Aside from what you said, I also found it really haunting. And I don't have so many words to describe as to why. I don't know if it was the kind of style in which animation was done. Of course, it was the imagery itself. And I think on a second viewing, I really paid attention some details. Like I loved the fact that there was someone else waiting on another level and they hear the scream and they don't know what happened. There again, it was super simple. And these little details really worked. So yeah, I mean, somehow I don't know why something didn't stick, and it could be because it was so different from everything else. It's like Joe said, I was not expecting anything like this at all. Franco mentioned salad fingers. I mean, I think the last time I saw this kind of stuff was like in the time of Charlie the Unicorn and this kind of stuff, you know, and I haven't really revisited that kind of stuff in over a decade probably. So it really caught me by surprise and super original. Well done. Again, also looking forward to what you're gonna do next.
One of my favorite moments about this was when the buttons start to disappear.
Yes. Oh my God, that was terrifying. That felt like a bad dream.
That was, I was watching it late at night in bed, and that happened, and I was just like, "Holy shit!"
That was horrible. I mean, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Like something so simple, but if you think about it, if that happens in real life, that is terrifying. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you got stuff from your bad dreams, but it really worked. Well done.
Yeah, definitely had dream logic in it, like everything.
Exactly.
Lynchian, very Lynchian.
Yeah.
Now, if I would say is like the second time round. Now, please give more care to your. I know. Maybe you think like, oh, this is not going to be well. It happened. This is for all filmmakers out there, and it's best if we start closing down.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Again, do reach out to us via on Facebook, Franco Rizzo. You can find me, or even on Instagram, Indigo_Fate7. We will, like, whenever we have time, we can give you some good feedback, and we're here to talk and discuss. So well done for every first-time filmmaker. Also well done to those who were in the out of competition, especially Apex and Incursion. Well done for all first-time filmmakers. Again, it's only onwards and upwards from here. Don't feel discouraged. For anyone who feels like, give more care to your movies. Like I said, with Unhanded, I even regret. I think it needed a bit more care and a bit more. Then again, it can also work as a sort of, you're expecting more care in it, and then suddenly there's a certain element that makes it stylistic in a certain sense to it. If I would say also in the credits, I know it's sometimes with Creative Commons, you have to put all that's very. The whole text. Just show the artist and there's no need to do all of this stuff. Because sometimes it's a wall of text. Thank you very much. No, thank you very much, Anelia, for watching until now.
Are you calling it tonight, guys? Any chance?
Yes.
Now he's back.
Yo.
Need to eat, and I need to go to the toilet violently.
That's video nasties for you, basically.
Speaking of horror.
Guys, I can say, first of all, thank you so much for still having the podcast when I can't be here. I'm unfortunately very busy with studying, and I will be very busy with studying.
See, we can do it all without you on.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Oh,
I thought you were the glue that held us together, but really, you were the rock that held us back.
Oh, no. Still need my internet, though, to host it. My internet goes. Ciao, podcast. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you. Today was crazy. I'm looking now, 113 live views today. This is live, our live.
Awesome.
Which is insane.
Awesome.
If
Nice.
you can, just one last thing to our viewers. Just please leave a like. If you enjoyed the podcast, join us. I mean, we have this podcast. It's a weekly podcast. Of course, we don't always deal with Maltese shorts and so on. Most of the time, we look at international films, and sometimes we do look at Maltese films, of course, when we do have the possibility and when they come out. Join us next week as well. Tell your friends, tell your family about the podcast. I think we have a different podcast to the rest. There's space, obviously, for every podcast. There's space for humor. There's space for discussions about pop culture and comics. And here we take maybe a more serious route. We talk about film in a more educated fashion rather than just, talking about, did you watch that film? Oh, it's great. Yes, I love that film. It's so good. Yes. And that's it, right? We take a more analytical approach to films, to the films that we talk about. So join us next week. Next week we will be talking about, what will we be talking about, guys? What about Nora?
I might have.
Nothing much coming out next week.
Anora, Penguin.
I mean, we're going to watch Anora without Joe because Joe decided to leave the country.
Yeah.
To the consolation, I hadn't met anyone on this podcast in person when I lived in the country, apart from Franco. So.
True that.
True. Yeah. We have the famous.
I've yet to actually meet Francesca. For all I know, I'm just being catfished over here.
What?
So.
I thought you were really good friends.
I mean, we are friends, but we're not friends.
Like in person friends.
No.
We just realized recently we both really like cats, and I like forcing her to watch things she doesn't really want to watch, and it's just blossomed from there.
Okay. Oh,
wait, what did you say about cats? Cats the musical or cats the animal?
Sorry?
Cats the animal. We know how I feel about the musical.
Sorry, Andrea?
Lele, because when I switched on my camera, the video Nasties logo was on your face because our faces changed positions.
Jean, thank you for watching. Obviously,
Thanks,
I don't know if you watched the out of competition movies as well, you guys.
I did not. I had to go sleep.
I did.
Yeah, no, same. Well, you didn't have to go to sleep, Andrea, because you didn't have work the next day.
Yeah, I was out from like 7:30 onwards.
So
guys,
for anyone
I hate to be that guy. Can we wrap it up? Because
yes, it's 100%. 100%. I need to continue.
anyone from the out of competition and wants reviews, please send the link to us. I mean, I watched all of them, but to the rest of the people, just to send links to them, and we
100%.
may be able to review them.
Definitely.
By the way, a quick mention of Vienna. I'm sorry I didn't comment, but I edited the movie, so it would be a bit say, oh yes, it's good. I edited it, so
very good editing.
Thank you. I mean,
I haven't watched it. No, Joe, I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very good editing since you made it.
So most of the comments, I'd rather you comment on it. But since I was involved, I tried to keep back as far as review goes. So
thanks a lot, Mela, guys. Bonsoir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you to all the viewers and listeners today. Insane viewership today. Thank you, Francesca. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Franco. And thank you, Andrea's Internet, for hosting the whole thing.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you.
And thanks, Jean. Bonsoir.